The Chelmsford For You podcast with Will and Sarah, an exclusive look into all things Chelmsford. Hello, I'm Sarah Tupper and this is another episode of the Chelmsford For You podcast. I'm very happy to be joined here today with Sally from the CVS. Hi Sally, how are you?
Hello, I'm good, thank you. Thank you very much for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. I'm really looking forward to our chat. We're going to find lots of information out, but the first thing I think we need to discuss, because there'll be a lot of people watching who don't know, what does CVS stand for?
CVS stands for Council for Voluntary Services.
Okay.
So there's one in every area of the country, but we are the Chelmsford one, which means our focus is Chelmsford District, its villages and South Woodham Ferrers.
So it sounds like you do a lot of amazing and important work, and we're going to talk about some of those things, but just kind of talk us through what exactly a CVS does. What is that voluntary service support?
So we're not the council. It's in our name, but we are not the council. We are a charity. We're an independent charity, but we're what's known as infrastructure.
Yep.
So that means our job is to support other charities.
Right.
So we will help any size charity and community group with absolutely anything they need.
Okay.
That's from getting started, recruiting volunteers, writing policies and governance and all the important, legal things that they need to know. Really important, actually really interesting bits.
Yeah.
All the way through to opening their first bank account, hiring and firing their trustees or their CEO.
Okay.
But also putting on events, fundraising, raising their profile, absolutely anything they could possibly need.
So you are a charity doing all of those things for your own kind of company, if you like. And then you're also doing all of that and helping others do the same.
Oh,
so,
and we're a very tiny team at the same time. But we support, so in Chelmsford alone, we work with over 350 local charities.
Wow.
And and they're everything from, big ones like Farley Hospice, the hospital, the council, all the way through to really tiny little community groups with 3 volunteers and £100 in their bank account.
Okay.
And that's covering every single aspect of charity you can imagine: elderly, animals, environment. It's
there's so many things, isn't there? And I think that the charity sector is so important. Whatever scale of business it is or charity it is, the work that they do is so integral to kind of helping the community run and different groups in need as well. So
it's vital,
yeah, none of that would happen without support from CVS's and other help. And we're going to talk a little bit about the kind of business support and how people can get involved. But one thing we need to discuss today is kind of one of your biggest events that highlights the amazing work of 350 charities, you said, in Chelmsford, didn't you?
Yes, yeah.
Obviously not all in one place on that day, but right here in Chelmsford on the Thursday at the 5th of June. So today, as you're watching this, is VolFest.
It's VolFest. So this week is actually National Volunteering Week.
Okay.
Which is a week the whole country celebrates and highlights the incredible, vital, as you said, work that volunteers do in this country. But it's also a chance to hopefully inspire more volunteers to come forward. Here in Chelmsford, we've always done that with a big charity showcase and recruitment event. Like I said, it's the first Thursday of June, so that's today. And right after this, I'm hopping down to Chelmsford High Street, where you will find me with 50 of our charities in gazebos, running down the whole length of the High Street. There's music, there's food, but crucially, there's these vital services, connecting people to help and letting the public know what they could be doing as a volunteer.
So you touched on this so perfectly a minute ago, and I think this is what VolFest does well, is it's inspiring others. Because sometimes when it comes to volunteering, we all want to do good and like the idea of volunteering our time or our resource, but no one knows where to start. So
it can be really overwhelming.
Yeah.
There are so many diverse charities out there. We work with 350 in Chelmsford, but there's thousands more in Essex. Right. And people often come and say, I want to get involved, I want to help, but I don't know where to begin.
Yeah.
So a big event like VolFest is a really good opportunity for them to go along the line, meet 50 different groups without any pressure, just learn about what they do and be surprised. There's so much more to volunteering than there is charity shops.
Yeah.
Nothing against them, I adore them, but it's so much more complex and challenging and exciting than that. And the people who do it as well, it's not just that cliche of, retired people who want to help out.
No.
People volunteer for so many different reasons.
Well, I mean, we were chatting off camera a little while ago, you're off to speak to schools and different organisations and things like that. And what I wanted to speak about now, actually, talking about organisations and the different people that volunteer, is that kind of like corporate and business side of things. Because it's not just arranging a litter pick or, painting the wall for something for Instagram maybe, but it's actually how can businesses make a real difference as part of their corporate responsibility?
It's a really good question. So part of our work is not just about, working with charities. It's about working with the entire community to make, good conditions for voluntary action and people helping each other to thrive. And that does involve, creating these partnerships and, helping businesses get involved with charities who are often exactly like those volunteers we were just talking about.
Yeah.
They want to help. They've all got, passionate staff who care about their communities and their neighbours. They all want to get involved. There's really good business reasons to do it. We see so many studies where, millennials and Gen Zs are more likely to apply for and stay at companies that have good social and environmental ethoses. So,
really?
Yeah, it's a really
I mean, it doesn't surprise me, but I love hearing kind of stats like that really back up the importance of...
There's been so many studies. It raises morale, it, brings teams together, and the impact that businesses can have on the third sector is massive. And I think unexplored, rather. So we've noticed a bit of a disconnect because of where we sit, networking together, all these charities and community groups. I will often be approached by a business who say, Sally, I have 25 volunteers. I've given them the day off to volunteer. They want to do it next Wednesday and they want to paint the wall of this community centre.
Right.
Which is lovely. Can't fault their enthusiasm. But realistically, that is not what charities need. And it's not what they can actually do. They don't have the capacity to manage that. There's a few challenges in there that can definitely be explored.
But I think this is the importance of kind of highlighting that, right? And why we're having this conversation now is to say there are so many other ways that businesses can support a charity that actually can have a better impact on the charity than just the quick, what can we do on this day? It's how can we create a partnership moving forward?
Absolutely. And I don't mean to denigrate painting walls of community centres. No. I genuinely don't. And, this is actually where charities often struggle because they don't want to seem ungrateful. They don't want to turn away support. We all need so much help. We're doing more and more with less resources. We need that relationship. But realistically, it costs the charity money to invite a team of volunteers in for one day. They have to plan it, manage it. If that team is coming in to paint a wall, odds are they're not actually professional painters. So the charity might then have to pay to get it redone. Right. And that team ends up frustrated because, they're not using their skills in a way that's actually having a long-lasting impact. And to be honest, there's only so many walls in Chelmsford that need painting.
We've painted the rest as concrete canvas.
Well, right. Yeah, you've ruined it, rather. Odds are they're doing one that's been painted like 3 times in the last 3 years anyway. So it's trying to get that disconnect untangled and get them thinking a bit more creatively about how they can actually help charities.
Yeah. And of course, we've kind of picked that out as a bit of a tongue-in-cheek, as you say, grateful for everyone's support with charities. But for example, Sally, say I've turned up and I've got a company with 20 people and we would like to start working with a charity to have an impact, to make a difference and support our community.
Yeah.
What's your kind of what are the processes here?
Well, first of all, that's where we as a CVS come in, because I imagine as an excellent manager, you will have spoken to your staff and found out what's important to you and your business ethics and what are your staff passionate about. So you might have landed on the subject of we really care about men's mental health.
Okay.
We think that's a pressing issue. We want to dedicate our time and talents to helping it. So you might, again, know not where to start though. So you can come to the CVS, we'll open up our database, put you in touch with a few charities that really align with what you want to achieve.
Okay.
But then the first thing we'd encourage you to do is sit down and actually listen to what the charity need at that one. That's where it comes down to. You're building a partnership.
With the charity, not just...
Partnership and a relationship, yes, excuse me. So actually listening to what they need. And there are still so many ways that you can get involved in volunteering alone. I'm just going to touch on that because I rather disparaged it earlier. But instead of painting, think about skilled volunteering. Okay. So within your team, I bet you have a host of skills and experience and knowledge that you probably take for granted, but which could really benefit a small charity or a small community group.
Okay, yeah.
For example, a few years ago, we did a bit of work with Marks and Spencer's.
Yep.
And we asked them if they could come in and do a day's customer service training to every charity shop volunteer we could find, or every volunteer who manned a helpline or did a reception type role. And they did, and it was brilliant. And that was training that those charities would never have been able to pay for.
Oh, that's so interesting.
So anything like that, like leadership, like HR, like finance, God, IT and technology. Do you know how many charities would bite your hand off if you offered to help redesign or update their website?
Yeah.
So yeah, and look within yourself. What have you got to offer?
I actually love that whole idea because that's, you know, something that can keep on giving then, isn't it? And skills and development is, I almost feel like we're in a crisis with that at the moment in the country in general, but so many organisations are suffering because of that lack of skills and development. So to be able to have businesses come in and offer that to charities, I think is such a great idea.
We don't have CPD budgets, especially small ones. And actually, this is something I'd really encourage you as a local business owner to do, which is look at a small charity, a small local charity. So most people do think that in order to have the biggest impact, we should give to the biggest charities. But in the UK, the large charities who have turnovers of over £1 million a year attract 83% of charitable giving.
Wow.
So all those smaller groups whose turnover is under 1 million, and then you get to the micro ones whose turnover is even less, they don't even get a look in when it comes to these big efforts, to these fundraising campaigns, to these glossy offers. They're not even considered. So
well, people probably don't even know they exist, right?
Right, and that's where the CVS comes in. But that is genuinely where you can have a big impact, going to a small hyperlocal group that might only be helping 30 people in your community, but they're doing brilliant, important work that no one else is doing.
Yeah.
And your donation of time or money or resources, whatever it is, can have a transformational effect on a group that size.
Wow.
So it's really worth considering, starting local.
My brain is literally like firing away, like, could do this. There's so many exciting things, I think, that people can get involved with. And I know from conversations with yourself, you know, this isn't going to be the end of our relationship, and, you know, how we can work through the Chelmsford business community, putting people in touch. And
if I may put out like a call to action, the other really big thing that businesses can do to help charities is encourage their staff to consider trusteeship.
Okay.
So at any point in time, over 50% of all charities are looking for people to join their trustee boards. It's a legal requirement. You have to have 3 trustees in order to exist as a charity.
Right.
However, it's really, really hard to get people to join boards, especially young people, especially people from different backgrounds. It's really hard getting them to join. But it's a vital role, and it's not as inaccessible as people think it is.
I was going to say, why do you think that is? Is it kind of the fear of the unknown? People don't really know.
Yeah, genuinely. I think we've done a bad job telling people what it takes to be a trustee. It's not a daunting, high-level task where you need a whole lot of experience and training and expertise. The main thing you need is enthusiasm about that cause.
Yeah.
You're there to give life experience, to give common sense, to give guidance and passion and help to the staff of that charity. You Yeah, some do like it if you have some expertise in finance or in HR. Or
Well, again, this goes back to that whole skills development side of it as well. You know, if you're bringing something to the table, that resource and time you can
absolutely.
add into.
If you're a working professional, odds are you do have more skills than you are perhaps conscious of
Yeah.
having. Which, yeah, third sector, small groups would be thrilled. And also being a trustee, it's at minimum, 4 meetings a year, one
Okay.
meeting a quarter. Some obviously encourage more, but that's essentially what it is, which is eminently doable even if you're working full time.
Yeah. And again, it sounds like a really good way for businesses and corporations to get involved with the voluntary sector and yeah.
And this goes both ways as well. It has to go both ways. You can get so much out of interacting with charities. We touched on it at the beginning, morale, joy, recruitment tool, but also engagement. And this is what we do on our side as well when we're working with charities.
Yeah.
We encourage them to participate and give something back to the businesses and make sure it is a mutually beneficial partnership.
Okay.
So for example, we're working with a local home builder this year, Barrett David Wilson Homes. They did everything right. They picked a small charity. They took on that burden of administrative cost and planning from the beginning. They brought their whole team along with them. They're really enthused. They've chosen the Men's Shed as their charity of the year.
Oh, I love that.
So what they're doing is instead of going out and volunteering, they're doing internal fundraising. So like golf days, soapbox races, barbecues, raising money to give to the shed at the end of the year. But they quite rightly said, look, while we're doing this year's worth of fundraising, we need you guys to engage. We need you to show up. We need you to take part. We need you to join our football team, join our soapbox race, man the barbecue at our event to keep morale going. Because when that doesn't happen and employees, they don't get that feedback. They don't see the value of their work. They don't see the difference they're making. Falls a bit flat and they're disinclined to donate next year. So that's where this relationship comes in.
I was going to say, it sounds like it's working on both sides there.
It's really important to form that partnership, to listen to each other and make sure that we're all working together for the benefit of Chelmsford.
And that's the main thing, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, like I said, we're going to carry this conversation on. We're going to send lots of information out to businesses as well about those opportunities that are there to create partnerships and relationships with charities. If you're watching this and in Chelmsford today, make sure you're heading down to VolFest. It's on the High Street all day on the 5th of June, and 50 charities will be there, kind of spreading the word on what they're doing and how you can get involved. But Sally, thank you so much for coming along and chatting today.
My pleasure.
Thank you for the amazing work that you do and Chelmsford CVS. I'm really excited to see kind of what partnerships are created from this. And if you want to get in touch with Sally or anyone from Chelmsford CVS about your own personal volunteering or for your company, how can people reach you?
They can reach us via our website, which is chelmsfordcvs.org.uk, or they can call us on 01245 351 888.
There we go. Easy as that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The Chelmsford For You podcast with Will and Sarah. Get involved, like, comment and share.